no such need from the body. One goes beyond the body. So I will speak a little on Nirjala Ekadashi because it is important to know. We speak so many times that we are not this body, we are spirit, soul. But where is the understanding? Where is the realization? The realization is in practicing. If we practice, hear attentively, please hear. If we practice sincerely, then we can experience that we are beyond body and beyond mind. Because if you see today, is the mind active? हाँ? तुम क्यों गुंडी ला रहे हो? तुम्हारा तो एक्टिव है ही है। क्योंकि उसको उसका फॉर्डर दे रहे हो, है नहीं? If the fire has to burn, what it requires? Fuel. If you supply fuel to the fire, what it will do? It will engulf everything. But if you cut the supply chain of the fire, then what will happen? The fire will get extinguished. So today is one day in every year, so many years we have been observing that we really rise above the bodily platform. Also, to much extent about the mental platform. There are no mental desires which are poking or provoking us. Everything, mind is very settled. Why mind is so settled? Because the senses are completely inactive. Senses are not engaged in sense gratification. The profuse fodder for senses for gratification is eating, sleeping, and mating. And if you regulate, so see, if you regulate this, then the senses will not be agitated. And if the senses are not agitated, the mind will become serene and peaceful. And when the mind is serene and peaceful, then you can observe spiritual life. Otherwise, it is impossible. So, today is Ekashi. In a year, we have 24 Ekadashis. Most of you don't observe Ekashi. Any of you who is observing Ekashi? None of you? I am asking them if they would be observing, they will raise hand. आप में से कोई करता है एकादशी का व्रत? करती हैं आप? अच्छा, आप भी कर रहे हैं? करना चाहिए, क्योंकि अगर एकादशी का व्रत नहीं करेंगे तो जो बॉडीली कॉन्शियसनेस है वो और डीप हो जाएगी। और विशेष रूप से पांडव निर्जल एकादशी तो जरूर करनी चाहिए। अब मैं अपने लाइफ के एक्सपीरियंस से बताता हूँ, कुछ भी मुश्किल नहीं है। I mean, it is so easy and it is so, what should I say, supportive. The spiritual power or the spiritual empowerment is so heavy that everything else, the body demands, the mind's agitation, everything gets subsidized. So out of 24 Ekadashis, the most important Ekadashi is Pandav Nirjal Ekadashi. Why it is called Pandav? It has not to do with Yudhishthir or Arjuna or Nakul or Sahadeva. It has to do with only one Pandav. And that Pandav is Bhima. Why? Because Bhima really loved eating. He is one person who lived to eat. There are two types of people in the world. Those who live to eat. Such people are very less. Those who live just to eat. There are more, sorry. Most of them are, they are fond of eating. But there are others who eat to live. Only that much, as much is required. So Bhima was profusely eating. Why? Because there was a reason for that. In his abdomen, there was an Agni called Vrika. That is why Bhima is called Vrakodara. There are various kind of fire. In the wood, you find a kind of fire which is called Davagni. Davagni is there, which is there in the wood. It burns the world. How it starts from? It starts from the forest fire. So there is Davagni, which is there in the wood, isn't it? The fire is already latent in the wood. As soon as you inflame the fire with the wood, what happens to the wood? It gets inflamed. Why? Because the fire is within. Immediately it will get inflamed. And there is also one fire which is there in the ocean that we don't know. But definitely there is fire within the abdomen which digests our food. Many times we have indigestion. What it means indigestion? That the fire of the digestion has become dim. Then it cannot digest the food. Then you cannot digest it and there is no appetite to eat. So Bhima had this, he was a voracious eater because he had that vrika. I knew one devotee also. So his vrika was very high. He told me that, Prabhu, I have a crusher in my abdomen. And if I don't eat, then my body burns. So, and Bhima was saying that everyone else in the family was observing Ekadashi and they were fasting. But Bhima could not fast. Normally, Ekadashi fast means that we should not eat. And if you see, if you are all science student, you do this research. One of the prominent disease in this current scenario is cancer. 100 years back, there was no cancer. Was there any cases of cancer? No. It has just emerged in last 50 years, not even 100 years. So what is the cancer phenomena? That there are some cells which grow abnormally and causes cancer. And how to kill these cancer cells? What is the remedy? What is the solution? By? Yes, by observing. Long fast. Not short fast. People say fast, 4 घंटे से कुछ खाया नहीं. Fasting for 16, 24 hours, 48 hours. But not everyone can do that. Don't try. Yeah, you have to practice it. As your spiritual level will deepen, you can control the urges. How to know a person is spiritually placed? 2 things you can see will be regulated. What are the 2 things? Eating and sleeping. And you see people around the world, they have no control, neither on eating nor on sleeping. So how to know the person is in bodily consciousness? His eating and sleeping is not regulated. And how to know the person on the spiritual platform? Both are regulated. So Bhimasen, when he saw that all his brothers, his mother, and even Draupadi were observing Ekadashi, so he went and approached his grandfather Vyasadeva and said that you please give me some remedy because the fire in my digestion does not allow me to abstain from eating. Because if I don't eat, then the fire will burn me. So the learned Vyasadeva, he recommended, and he said that this has been shared personally by Lord Keshav to me. It's a very beautiful verse. Somehow I was to give class today in the morning, but one Maharaji came. So I requested Maharaj. So I couldn't speak. But it is important, I want to share with you. So Srila Vyasadeva said that samvatsarasya ya madhe ekadashayo bhavanti. Samvatsarya means that during the year. Madhya means in the middle. So where are we in the middle of the year, isn't it? Where are we? In the mid of June. So half of the year is over and half of the year is remaining. So this Ekadashi which falls in the middle of the year, this month is called the month of Jeshta. This is the hottest season. And the Ekadashi that we observe today, there are 2 Paksha, as we are hearing from the 8th chapter. There is Shukla Paksha and there is Krishna Paksha. Shukla Paksha means the bright fortnight. There are 2 moons, One is the waning moon and the other is waxing moon. Waxing moon means when the moon is expanding, its brightness is expanding. That is called waxing. इसे कहते हैं पूर्णिमा का चांद, पूर्णिमा, when it is expanding. And the other is waning moon. Waning moon when there is towards Amavasya, when the moon is getting diminished. So on this day of Jyeshta Shukla Ekadashi, so he says, Tesham phalam avapnoti putra mena atra samshaya. So what will be the result of observing this Ekadashi? That it will bear the result of observing all other Ekadashis. Such a master stroke should be there in spiritual life. That you observe one Ekadashi and the result of all the Ekadashis you achieve. You attend one Mangala Arti and the result of all the Mangala Artis of the year you achieve. One day you chant Hare Krishna and the result is that the entire year's chanting you receive. But at least for Bhima, who is so dear to Krishna, Krishna made this very special concession. Iti mam Keshava praha Sankha Chakra Gadadhara. So he says, Vyasdev said that Iti mam Keshava praha. This has been told to me personally. Praha means spoken to me by Keshava, who is the bearer of Shankha Chakra Gada and Padma. So anyone who is not able to observe Ekadashi, or there has been some slight, deviation or some fault in observing Ekadashi, then he must observe Nirjala Ekadashi. Although we observe all the 24 Ekadashis, try to observe it diligently, but still we observe Nirjala Ekadashi, because in Kali Yuga it is impossible to observe anything with perfection. That is by default, there is some scope of some error or fault. So if we observe this Ekadashi today, which is the Nirjala Ekadashi, then all the merits of observing all the Ekadashis of the year, 24 Ekadashi, is achieved. And one can become a candidate to return home back to the spiritual world. I found one verse from Garga Samhita. I was doing some research. So there is one full chapter of Ekadashi Mahatma. So those who want to practice spirituality, and particularly they want to get favor of Radha and Krishna, they must observe Ekadashi. See, material world and spiritual world, they are not, parallel, just opposed. The spiritual world means that we perform those activities which will give us eternal credit. And material existence means only pertaining to mind and body. So, glories of Ekadashi in Garg Samhita, the gopis are asking Radharani, very beautiful, that how it is that Krishna is so much enchanted by you. He is always captivated by you. You are able to control Krishna. So what is that vow? Or what is that sacrifice? What is that penance that you have performed? So that Krishna has become subservient to you. Yeah. So they say that Tava Vasha Nanda Sunar Devir Api Sudurgama. That Vasha means that under control. Who is under control? Nanda Sunar, the son of Maharaj Nanda. Who is Dever Api Sudurgama. The demigods also cannot reach him. What to say of controlling him? So Tvam Jagan Mohini Radhe Sarva Shastra Arth Paragaha. So you are able to captivate him, control him, mesmerize him. So what is the secret? That you know the scriptures and you are Sarva Shastra Arth Paragaha. That you have gone deeper and crossed the understanding of the scripture. So please let us know. And Srimati Radharani says that Sri Krishnasya prasadartham kurute ekadashi vratam tena yasyo hari sakshat bhavashyati na samshaya. So Sri Krishna prasadartham. Prasada means blessings or mercy. So if one wants to receive the blessings of the Supreme Lord, Krishna, in his heart, in his life, what he has to perform? Kurute Ekadashi Vratam. He must perform the Ekashi Vratam. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that Ekashi is Madhav Tithi. Yatane Palan Kari. Madhav Tithi means that this is the day which is allotted to Lord Krishna. So these 2 days of the month, we should plan in advance. That today we have done Ekadashi, so from tomorrow we should be planning for our next Ekadashi. It should not be a lame excuse that मुझे पता नहीं चला एकादशी कब आके चला गया. क्यों भाई? हमें ऐसा नहीं पता चलता कि हमारे डिनर का समय आके कब चला गया, हमारा लंच का समय कब आके चला गया, हमें पता नहीं चला. क्यों? जो बॉडी का जन्म हुआ है और जिसका डेथ श्योर है, उसके लिए हम इतना प्रयास कर रहे हैं. What about our soul, which is eternal? So if we want to come to the spiritual platform, at the platform of soul, we must observe Ekadashi. And also, those who do not observe Ekadashi, it is condemned in the scriptures that they are inflicted with sinful reactions. Because the personality of sin personified, today he enters the grains. Whoever eats grain, so he verily gets the association and the influence of personified sin. So this is very important that we must observe Ekadashi. And if you are in association of devotees, it is just, very easy. And Prabhupada said that how we should observe Ekadashi. What is the proper way of observing Ekadashi? I was just reading, I'll share. Prabhupada is speaking. For you, I will speak, others can look. Prabhupada said that we should observe a total fast or go without sleep. That is very high standard. That even we cannot do. But at least one day we do. That we observe total fast. This is a very good way. We see that our determination is very weak. Our intelligence is very distracted. Why? If we observe vows and penances, then our determination becomes very strong. Whoever brings us or proposes us anything, we will not accept it. From within, there is no such urge, there is no such desire. I just entered the kitchen. I just saw what they are preparing. She was preparing mango juice. She said, Prabhuji, aap lenge? मैंने कहा नहीं, not today. There is no desire. And if you allow people to take mango juice, they will take as much. So how to make our intelligence sharper than our mind and how to subdue the mind is by observing Ekadashi Vrata. You see, there is scientific reason also of observing Ekadashi. When there is full moon, you are all scientist people, you know this phenomena. Whenever there is full moon in the ocean, what is the phenomena? There is high tide. As soon as the moon is full, the tide rises high. So similarly, on the day of Ekadashi, which is the 11th day of the waxing moon, it is coming near to Purnima. So in the body, water content is how much? How much? Don't you know? 70. You said 70. What are the other views? How much? What do you know then? Spiritual things you don't know, material things you should know at least. How much your body has water content? Most of you are silent. Not clear. How much is water content? 72%. 72. At least 2/3. Right or wrong? At least 2/3 is there. So it also gets agitated. So the mind and the senses are very much agitated on the day of the Ekadashi. Okay, come. You're looking for someone? So how to pacify the mind and the senses? By regulating them, by observing Ekadashi. So, very important that we observe Ekadashi. And it is, how do we observe? By keeping Upavas. Upavas means fasting. But actually speaking, Upavas has a deeper meaning. Vas means to reside. So some say na Dhamavas, or some want Swargavas. Well, what it means? They want to reside in that place. So, Upavas means near. Upa means coming near. And Vasa means to reside. So, where does this Upavas take us? It takes us closer to Radha and Krishna. So, that is why we observe Ekadashi. Otherwise, there is no other reasons. That this observing of Ekadashi brings us closer to Radha and Krishna. How? By engaging more in devotional service. If you don't see how life is so comfortable. If there is no eating and no sleeping, then how much time more we have? How easy what it was today. It was never so easy as it was today to chant 64. Could not even believe it was over. By the time I realized it was over. Why? Because the mind and senses were not absorbed in eating and sleeping. If you see our entire life, if you analyze and calculate, 50% of the life spent is spent in only these two things. Or rather, three things: eating, sleeping, and mating. If your lifespan is, say, 70 years, average lifespan is how much? Productive lifespan is not even 70 years. Productive lifespan is how much? 60 years. Out of the 60 years, first 15 years is not productive. You remove that. What to say of 15? IARI, productive life begins after 25, after they have completed their PhD. So from 25 to 60 is how many years? 35 years. Out of the 35 years, eating, sleeping, and mating is how many years? How many years? So what do we do with our life? We just spoil and waste it. In which activities? Eating, sleeping, and mating. So at least one day, by observing Nirjala Ekadashi, we can realize that we are beyond the body. Okay. So Krishna is speaking in Bhagavad Gita. And he says in the Bhagavad Gita that three things should never be compromised. For anyone to perfect this human form of life, he recommends that one must perform three activities. Under any condition, these three activities should never be given up. This is in the 18th chapter, 5th verse. Yagya dana tapa karma na tyajyam karyam evatat yagya dana tapasteva pavanani manishina. Acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up. Open and give them. Because these acts purify even the great souls. So, if we want to really achieve perfection in human form of life, these three activities should never be given up. What are these three activities? Yagya is sacrifice. So, what is the practical applicability of sacrifice? To find a yagashala, then to find a purohit. No. That kind of yagya is not recommended. So yajna means any activity which is performed for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Yajna arthat karmano anyatra. Any activity which is done for pleasing the Supreme Lord is yajna. So Ekadashi is also yajna. Then dana. Dana means charity. So what do you do? Give charity? Those that you have, you give it for the benefit of others. You don't utilize yourself, but you give it for others' benefit. And the third is tapa. Tapa means austerity. What is austerity? In simple terms, that the body and mind do not like. What the body and mind do not like? They don't like fasting. They don't like austerity. What they like? They like eating, sleeping, and betting. So if you are not able to go beyond the desires and demands of the mind and the body, then one cannot purify his existence. One cannot come to realize that he is not this body, his soul. That is why we see in today's world. If you tell a person that you are not this body, he will say, yes, I am not this body. But any activity has he performed in his life which is beyond body? No. So very effective way of performing spiritual activity is observing fast. And how to observe? We remain with devotees association. You see, Sonika came, I told her that if, and this is my so many years of experience, even new people, very new people who do not know anything about Ekadashi, if they are in good devotee association, they are able to keep Nirjala even from day one. I have seen so many cases. One was my case itself. I never knew what is Nirjala. So when I came for the first time in the temple, so they told me today is Nirjala Ekadashi. So they don't drink water till 12. I said, okay. बोले बस 12 बजे तक रोक लो. दिन के 12 बजे तक don't drink water. I said, okay, नहीं पियेंगे. 12 बज गए तो बोले आप पानी पी ले. बोले नहीं नहीं रुक जाओ. 5 बजे तक रुक जाओ. शाम के 5 बजे तक. Expert person, huh? Devotee was very expert. बोले हमारे साथ रहो. And we were busy in the temple doing services, classes, arranging. शाम के 5 बज गए, क्लास शुरू हो गई तो भूल गए पानी पीना. लेकिन जब क्लास खत्म हो गई तो फिर पानी याद आ गया. तो प्रभु आप तो पी ले. आपने 5 बजे कहा था, अभी 8 बज गए. बोले नहीं, आज एक्चुअली निर्जल है. निर्जल मीन्स nir means without and jal means water. So now you have spent the entire day without drinking. Now only night is left. So he told me that just tolerate little, tolerate. So I went home after the temple was closed at 9:30. But by the time it became 12, I did not get any sleep. And my body started to burn. So I called him at 12 o'clock in the night. And I told him, प्रभु जी अब तो नहीं रुका जाता. बोले कोई बात नहीं, wait. आप नहा लो. Go and take bath. It is peak summer. बोले पानी नहीं पीना लेकिन. तो नहा लिए. बहुत देर तक नहाए तो 2 बज गए. सुबह के 2 बज गए. And then I again called him, Prabhu, what to do now? बोले come to temple. Of course, I was residing there. I was working. I was not in this farm. So I took my car and at 2:30 I reached temple. So in the temple, Kirtan is happening all night. So that Kirtan mein aap baitho. Sit with us in the Kirtan. And when we sat in the Kirtan, started to enjoy, 4:30 Mangala Aarti shuru ho gayi. हो गया. उसके बाद 2003 से अभी कितना आ गया 2025. कितने नए लोगों को मैंने ऐसे यही फॉर्मूला लगाया, एक भी फेल नहीं हुआ अभी तक. तो एक भी फेल नहीं हुआ जिसने एक्चुअली फॉर्मूला लगाया. So it becomes very easy. So that is why we see there is so much of recommendation that the spiritual strength comes in association, in devotee association, good devotee association, those who are sincere devotees. So by the strength of their practice, they uplift your consciousness and connect you to their consciousness to be able to perform it very easily. 4 or 5 years back, I don't remember which was the year, it was before COVID. I think I'll tell you the year. It was during 2018. The Palan time for Dwadashi was after 10 in the morning. Anyone remembers? तुमने किया था? But the first time it was after 10. And one boy from IARI, I had made him do for the first time. तो 7 बजे के बाद तो बहुत छटपटाने लगा, बोले प्रभु जी अब तो मैं पानी पी लेता हूँ, नहीं तो मेरे प्राण निकलते हैं. मैं कह नहीं तुम मेरे पास रहो. I held him. You be with me, remain with me. I said, okay, we will see the deities 7 o'clock. He was with me in the morning in the temple. So that is why I call everyone in the temple. सुबह आ जाना मंगल आरती में, ठीक है? रात में नींद तो आएगी नहीं वैसे भी. आ भी जाती है, अब तो आ जाती है खैर. अब तो I don't find any difficulty. And so 8 o'clock the Bhagavatam class began, but the Palan time was not 9, it was 10. And Jitamit Prabhu was giving the class. So after 8:15, 9, around 8:15, 8:30, he started to tell the story of Narad Muni. How Narad Muni in his childhood, he was the son of a maid servant from Srimad Bhagavatam, and how the Bhakti Vedantas came and he served them and he heard from them. प्रभु जी कथा करते गए 10 बज गए. 10 बज गए तो उन्होंने कहा कि अब पालन का टाइम हो गया, अब मैं कथा समाप्त करता हूँ. So this is how I have seen practically in my spiritual experience that in the association of devotees, spiritual activity becomes so easy. Alone, if you try to do it, is very difficult. Why? Because we have very strong conditioning, very, very strong conditioning. What is the conditioning coming from? From the impressions of our mind, which does not allow us to go beyond. So I'm requesting all of you, those who are here, that you will not starve, you will not die. Do you see my energy level lesser than you? Any one of you? No. I have been awake since 3:15 in the morning, and probably hardly I will sleep in the night. But why? Because our mind is tuned. Our mind is already programmed. So if you practice, so your determination will become strong. One day you have, survived without water and food. So next time when you are in difficult situation, you know you can survive. You have experience. If we are put in difficult situation, we can easily survive. But what about others? They cannot. They cannot. So that is why a spiritual practitioner, their determination has to be very strong. So they can go beyond the desire and dictates of the mind. Other people, they cannot. They succumb to whatever the mind and senses demand and desire. सुन रही हो श्रेया? तुमने किया आज एकादशी व्रत? निर्जला किया है? क्यों? तबीयत ठीक हो जाएगी. ये सब तबीयत खराब हुई है, ठीक हो जाएगी. यही समस्या है. This is actually you have to be in good association to be able to go beyond body. I have observed so many times in my life also. In the night when you see, many times I sleep while giving class course. That day when we went from IARI, in the car I almost slept. Ravindra was with me. Because our body is taxed so much. From 3 in the morning, we start, taking services from the body. And we hardly give rest. I wake up at 3:15 and sleep at 10:30, 11. Hardly 4 hours of rest. So the body is always desiring to get some sleep. अरे बाबा कुछ तो दे दो, कुछ तो sleep दे दो. So, very important that we observe these prescribed austerities. So at least one day you can say that, yes, I am not this body. I am spirit soul. And then not only just we give up food and drink, we also engage in devotional service. This is the day we chant maximum round of around. How many you chanted? So karo, shatak laga do. Make a century of Harinam. Okay, we are on the 8th chapter. And the 8th chapter is also the chapter of a practitioner yogi who is determined to achieve the spiritual world. And how he achieves the spiritual world? By very stringent practice of Ashtanga Yoga. So there are various type of yogas or practitioners. Like you have many branches, many type of students, isn't it? Some students are students of science, some students are students of arts, some are of other streams. So here it is being spoken. We discuss, Krishna is speaking about how to attain the Supreme. And this is the final section. So he's talking about that there are two paths, two designated time span when a practitioner yogi quits his life. One is the time frame of light, when the sun is moving towards the north. It is Uttarayana. It is Agnir Jyotir. And those who are able to leave their life here at this time, then they don't have to return. They achieve the spiritual effulgence, Brahma Jyoti. See the 24th verse. Mystics who are advanced in yoga practice can arrange the time and place to leave the body. See what control they have. How the control begins? What is easy to control? First thing, most easy to control is food. We should not be like non-humans, non-humans. गाय बकरी को जितनी बार दोगे वो खा जाएगी. 10 times you give grass to the animal, what it will do? Every time it will eat. But that should not be the case of humans. We should be very regulated, very disciplined in our eating habits. We should eat only to the extent it is required. Why we have so much of digestion problems, stomach problems, gas problem today? If I tell anyone new person to observe fasting, very soon what the problem will come? Prabhu ji, gas चढ़ रहा है, gas बन रहा है. Why gas is coming? Why gas is not coming to us? Why? Because the dependence on food is so heavy. And today what the doctor says, that after every 2 hours you eat. You go and consult any doctor. What they will say, थोड़ा थोड़ा खाइए, लेकिन हर 2 घंटे के बाद खाइए. Become grazed like an animal. No. We should only eat when there is hunger in the belly. And how much we should eat? Ayurveda says 50%. 50% we should fill the belly with food, 25% with water, and 25% should be remaining so that the air can move. But people are not eating 50%, they are eating 100%. So this problem is there. Kali Yuga, the problem is not of scarcity. The problem is of overindulgence. Overindulgence. That is why there is so many cases of obesity, There's so many cases of diabetics. Why? Why diabetics is there? Because there is no control on the tongue. If the regulation is there, we don't eat sweets. There is no appetite for eating sweets. Very, very few times. So it's very important. So that is animal life. Bodily consciousness means which life? Animal life. And human life means the life should be guided by discrimination. Discrimination, you understand? Yeah. That you should be able to discern that what is good for me, that only I will accept. What is not good for me, I will not. So the yogi is able to even control so much that he can decide when he will depart. Let's see. That is called Iksha Mrityu. In today's world, everyone is living completely helpless. Most of them die in coma. They go in ICU. You've seen? There's more cases of ICU coming. And they go in coma. What kind of consciousness? Where is the consciousness? Completely oblivion. Coma is very, very lower state of consciousness. So those who are advanced yogis, Krishna is recommending here that they decide that when the sun is on the horizon towards its north, when there is Agni's Jyoti, when there is the period of light, at that time they give away their life, and the presiding deity of fiery god, Agni Jyoti, he carries the soul to go to the spiritual effulgence. And the 25th verse, today's verse. Dhumo ratris Krishna Shadmasha Dakshinayana Tatra Chandra Masam Jyotir Yogi Prapya Nivartate Dhumo Ratris Tatha Krishna Shanmasha Dakshinayana Tatra Chandra Masam Jyotir Yogi Prapya Nivartate. Dhumo means smoke. The first one was fire. When there is blazing fire, there is no smoke. When the fire is very low and slow, then you see smoke. And when there is smoke, is there light or darkness? Darkness. Yeah. So Dhumo Ratris. So that period when there is smoke, or that period where there is Ratri or night. So the mystics who pass away at this times, when the sun is traveling towards the south. When the sun is traveling towards the south, what happens? The night becomes long and the day becomes short. When the day becomes long, that is when the sun is going towards the north. You have observed Makar Sankranti? From Makar Sankranti, the days become long and the night becomes short. So, but when it is the sun is traveling towards the south, that is Dakshinayana, it is reverse. The mystics who pass away from this world during the smoke, the night, the fortnight of the waning moon. First was the waxing moon. Waxing moon is when the moon is expanding, and waning moon is when the moon is contracting or shrinking. Or the 6 months when the sun passes to the south, reaches the moon planet, but again comes back. Yogi prapya nivartate. Nivartate means he has to come back. You have seen the game of snake and ladder? How many of you have played? All of you? I also played. And we were very happy. We reached 90s. And what happens in 90s? There is a big takshak. Where? Exactly at 99. It does not allow you to pass. And he beats you and throws you where? in the first digit. Punar Mushika Bhava. Again, you come back to the same ground level from where you started. So all this practice becomes what? Useless. All this regulation becomes useless if you depart at the time when the smoke period is there, the night is there, the waning moon is there. Prabhupada says in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Kapil Muni mentions that those who are expert in fruitive activities and sacrificial methods on earth attend to the moon on death. Why? Because the purpose of karma kand is good to attain somaras. Trevida soma papa, uta papa. In the second chapter we read that. That verse is there in the second chapter. That those who are karma kandis, for them, this is what they aspire. .43. 43. Yeah. So it says, men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets. So one of the heavenly planets is also the moon planet. Resultant good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. But what happens is, when the credit is exhausted, they have to come back. So they can remain on the moon. Prabhupada is giving the information for how many years? 10,000 years. By demigod calculations, and enjoy life by drinking somaras. They eventually return to earth. It is like that snake, Takshak, in the snake and ladder. Even if you go high to the moon planet, what is the result? You have to come back. This means that on the moon there are higher classes of living beings. So it confirms what our Vedas say, that those who are on the moon planets, they are having much more opportunities and resources for material enjoyment. And when our scientists, they go to the moon, which is so cooling, what they find? What they find? Sand. Because they have never reached moon. They can never reach moon. No one by any mechanical means can ever go to moon planet. What is required to go to the moon planet? Pious credits. Pious credits. So it is all a farce propaganda of moon landing. In fact, it has been proved also now. You see, even the American scientists have proved that they never landed on moon. It is a false propaganda. Why? When the moon has so much of juice, if the moonshine does not come, the vegetables will not have juice. You know this or not? It is proven by science. The juice that comes in the crops, it is because of the moonshine. So now Krishna will summarize both these paths which he has spoken in the 24th and 25th verse. Shukle Krishna gate hiyete jagata shashvati mate ekaya yeti anavrittam anyaya avartate puna. So according to Vedic opinion, there are two ways of passing from this world. One in the light and one in darkness. When one passes in light, it does not come back. But when one passes in darkness, he returns. It is not for normal people. For normal people, they will always pass in darkness and they will always return. This is talking about whom? It's talking about very advanced yogis who have control over their life air and they can decide what time they want to leave. But they have also been categorized by Krishna that there are two types of such practitioners. One are those who perform only mysticism, and the others are those who perform fruitive activities, karma kand. For the karma kand, the later is applicable, that they have to return. They cannot be liberated. They cannot be freed. So the same descriptions of departure and return is quoted by Acharya Baldev Vidyabhushan from the Chandogya Upanishad, 5.10, 3-5, that those who are fruitive laborers and philosophical speculators from time immemorial are constantly going and coming. What are they doing? They are like playing the snake and ladder again and again. Actually, they do not attain ultimate salvation, for they do not surrender to Krishna. Well, why Krishna is speaking about all these kinds of various practitioners? Because he is trying to differentiate. He is differentiating that his devotee is neither of them. Neither my devotee goes into the bright light to attain impersonal liberation, nor he passes at the time of night to come back. He is beyond both. This is the next verse, 27th verse. Krishna says, Naita Shruti Parth Janam Yogi Muhyati Kashchana Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu Yoga Yukta Bhava Arjuna Na Ete Shruti Parth Janam. Although my devotees know both these paths, Yogi Mohyatika, but they are never bewildered by any. They are never bewildered. Why? Because they do not subscribe to either of them. They are not interested in either of them. Why? Because they are Yoga Yukta. So he's saying Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu. Therefore, O Arjuna, at all times, what you have to become? Tasmat Sarveshu means at all times. And Kaleshu means time. So always at all times, what you have to do? Yoga Yukto Bhava Arjuna. Yoga means connection and Yukto means being situated. So how the connection is there with the Jiva, with the Supreme Lord? Through the process of devotional service. So Yoga Yukto Bhava Arjuna. Therefore always be fixed in devotion. Like today, what is the activity today? Only spiritual activity, no material activity. Every day, our spiritual activity is just a fraction. And today that fraction has become material activity. And normally you should take off. Don't do what others are doing. I have very good experience. I told you. In 2006, I happened to be in Dubai on the day of Gita Jayanti, Mokshadaya Ekadashi. So, due to compulsion, I had to be there because my boss wanted me to be there during March. I told him, no, I have to go to Mayapur. I cannot come. When I come back from Mayapur, then only I will come. That was my first trip to Mayapur, 2006. So then, somehow prolonging, it happened that that day I was there. So I was very much, craving for association because I didn't want to miss the recitation of Gita. So I knew one or two devotees in the Dubai congregation. So I called them up. I had number. And he came and picked me up at 5 in the evening. And he told me that, Prabhu, I take only 2 leaves in a month. He was working in a shipping company. Dubai had many shipping companies. He's a good big officer. So he told me, Prabhu, I take 2 leaves in a month. They are fixed, both the Ekadashis. Ekadashis, I try not to dilute my consciousness. And then he took me to that congregation, and as I've shared with you, we recited all these 700 verses. One stroke. Very powerful recitation. There were almost 700 to 800 devotees. Even kids, mostly South Indians were there in that Dubai congregation. And very powerful recitation with such, vibration coming. I have never experienced that vibration. Maybe in Kurukshetra, we can, feel that vibration. If all of you really call out from your heart, they're calling from their heart. So, Ekadashis, we must observe very diligently. Madhav Tithi. In fact, Prabhupada writes in one of his purport that those who are really interested to go home back to Godhead, 8.14. Today I'll keep the talk mainly on Ekadashi. We are in the eighth chapter only. 8.14 or 9.14? 9.14. 9.14. Yeah, Satatam. Kirtana. Jatantasya Drida Vrata. So, as I was saying, that how one can have strong determination. So, this verse is talking about determination. So, how determination will come? So, Prabhupada is speaking, see the third paragraph. In devotional service, there are certain activities which are called determined. Found it? Those who are new, open for them. Found it? So in devotional service, there are certain activities which are called determined, such as fasting on certain days, like the 11th day of the moon, Ekadashi. This is the first item. And on the appearance day of the Lord. All these rules and regulations are offered by great acharyas for those who are actually interested in getting admission into the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the transcendental world. What is higher than this in this material world? Nothing. Nothing. So don't compromise it for anything in this world. If you do so, that means you are not qualified to enter. Then you are destined to remain here and rot. Everyone in this world is rotting. He is taking birth, and by taking birth, the date of manufacture is there. With the date of manufacture, date of expiry is also there. But we are so foolish that we are thinking, मैंने अपनी date of expiry मिटा दी है. मिट जाएगी. And before dying, there is disease and old age. So with one comes 3 free. You take birth, and with birth you will definitely have disease, old age, and death. But if you want to be free from it, what you have to do? You have to observe Ekadashi. Simple. Prabhupada is saying, those who are actually interested in getting admission into the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the transcendental world. The Mahatma seen later. How to become Mahatma? From being Tama. Tama means in ignorance. How to become Mahatma? The great souls strictly observe all these rules and regulations, and therefore they are sure to achieve the desired results. So Krishna is saying that my devotees, they least bother for all these paths. Why? Because their destination is already assured. How? Because they are already observing the rules and regulations. So the most important aspect, see, so this chapter is talking about how to remember Krishna at the time of death. So actually, no one can remember Krishna at the time of death. Only that person can remember Krishna at the time of death, whom Krishna desires to remember. Why? Because Krishna has already said that from him comes remembrance and forgetfulness. So it is never possible for anyone. It is just a complete false notion that he is thinking that I will be able to remember Krishna or I will be able to remember Shiva or anyone at the time of death. No, there's no possibility. The only possibility is when they are pleased and they give their remembrance. So who becomes qualified that they will give remembrance? One who is Yoga Yukta. So Krishna is giving the recommendation here that, my dear Arjuna, Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu. Sarveshu Kaleshu means that always and at all times, what you have to be? Yoga Yukto Bhava Arjuna. Yoga means connection and Yukta means engagement. So how one will be connected with the Supreme? When he is engaged in the service of the Supreme. Simple. So Krishna is here advising Arjuna that he should not be disturbed by the different paths the soul can take when they are leaving the material world. A devotee of the Supreme Lord should not worry whether he will depart by arrangement or by accident. There is no such worry. The devotee should be firmly established in Krishna consciousness and chant Hare Krishna. At least today's date, we can say yes. One day we did it. At the time of death, Krishna will say, when were you are Yoga Yukto? I recommended in Bhagavad Gita that you should be Yoga Yukto Bhava Arjuna. So, my dear sir, at least Nirjala Ekadashi day. We were Yoga Yukta. And he should know that the concern over either of these two paths is troublesome. The best way to be absorbed in Krishna consciousness is to be always dovetailed in his service. And this will make one's path to the spiritual kingdom safe, certain, and direct. Very clear. Safe, certain, and direct. That means all other paths are indirect. Neither they are safe, neither they are certain, neither they are direct. So only the safe, certain, and direct path is Yoga Yukta Bhava Arjuna. To the extent we are becoming Yoga Yukta. One has to practice this. One will not become Yoga Yukta in one day. He has to practice all his life. The word, Prabhupada is speaking, the word Yoga Yukta is especially significant in this verse. One who is firm in yoga is constantly engaged in Krishna consciousness in all his activities. Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu. All his activities, all his life. Shri Rup Goswami advises Anasaktasya Vishayan Yataham Upayunjata. One should be unattached in material affairs and do everything in Krishna consciousness. By this system, which is called Yukta Vairagya, one attains perfection. Therefore, the devotee is not disturbed by these descriptions because he knows that his passage to the supreme abode is guaranteed by devotional service. So, how we can have remembrance of the Supreme Lord? By always being Yoga Yukta. So, this is the key of how to attain the Supreme. By remaining engaged in Krishna consciousness. To the extent we are Krishna conscious and we are engaging in devotional service, our departure is confirmed. Where we will depart? Nowhere. There is no question of returning back. When we will go to the spiritual world. Prabhupada is saying that his path to the spiritual kingdom is safe, certain, and direct. For this, there is no samshaya. There is no doubt. Okay. So I'll stop here because I don't want to take the next verse, the very nectarian verse, the last verse. And Prabhupada has given a big purport. So I will discuss it after coming back from Kurukshetra. Next Saturday we are in Kurukshetra. Hare Krishna. So from your side, any discussion, question? Please ask. Then those who are hearing online can also ask. I see some new people joining online. Where are you from, Kaushik? Kaushik Atta? May I know?
राधे राधे प्रभु जी।
Hare Krishna. आप
हरे
कहाँ?
कृष्ण। आई एम फ्रॉम मथुरा। मथुरा मथुरा।
मथुरा? अच्छा.
यस यस।
Welcome. You are a Brajvasi?
नो नो, एक्चुअली आई प्रीवियसली वर्कड इन IRI।
अच्छा.
नाउ आई एम वर्किंग इन यूनिवर्सिटी एज असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर इन मथुरा।
Okay, very good. Very good.
राधे राधे।
Okay, welcome. And okay, Prachi madam is also there. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण
हरे
प्रभु जी।
कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
Thank you. I am very inspired by both of you. We should be very regular. So Krishna is saying that you should be tasmat sarveshu kaleshu yoga yukto bhava. At all times.
जी प्रभु जी, हम आपसे इंस्पायर हुए हैं एक्चुअली।
अगर आप इधर होते तो आज मैं आपको निर्जला करा देता। अगले साल कहीं नहीं जाना।
नहीं नहीं,
बिल्कुल प्रभु जी,
कभी
नहीं
कहीं
जाएंगे।
नहीं जाएंगे, पहले होके आ जाएंगे।
These are two of your professors from IRI. Thank you.
थैंक यू।
हरे कृष्ण। बोलो, प्रश्न पूछो। कोई जिज्ञासा है, पूछिए। You are observing Sapna Ekadashi today?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Nirjal?
I had water.
अच्छा अच्छा, साजल। साजल, कोई बात नहीं। अब की बार साजल है तो अगली बार निर्जल हो जाएगा। One source of inspiration is Pradeep Prabhu. Although for so many last years he has been in so many far countries, sometimes in Korea, and where you are? China. For a few years he was even in China. But he is always there in the association. So he has always observed Nirjala with ease. How are you feeling? How is the weather today in your city, Bangalore?
27 bro.
Huh?
27 degrees temperature.
27 is very moderate. Sanjana, you are observing?
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी। आज नहीं हुआ क्योंकि घर पे हैं तो मम्मी करने नहीं दी मुझे। लास्ट के सारे काशी हुआ था।
मम्मी को बताया ही क्योंकि कर रहे हैं। मेरी
नहीं,
मदर
मम्मी
कैसे
ने
है,
किया।
मैं इतने सालों से करता हूँ। वो मुझसे कहते, तुम पानी भी नहीं पियोगे तो जियोगे कैसे? क्योंकि उन्होंने कभी नहीं किया ना जीवन में, तो वो इसको रिकंसाइल नहीं कर सकती कि ऐसा भी हो सकता है। इट इज डिफिकल्ट। इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट फॉर दोज हु हैव नेवर डन इट, फॉर देम टू एक्सेप्ट दैट दिस इज पॉसिबल। इट्स वेरी डिफिकल्ट। तो तुमको आना चाहिए ना कुरुक्षेत्र के लिए। तुम मायापुर नहीं गई?
अभी पॉसिबल, मेरी ट्रेनिंग चल रही थी तो मतलब 2 दिन का बस छुट्टी मिला है मुझे। नहीं तो इतने दिन से एक दिन भी छुट्टी नहीं थी।
अरे घर आने के लिए छुट्टी मिला है ना। ओके, बोलो बोलो, प्रश्न पूछो। एकादशी के ऊपर कोई प्रश्न पूछो, कोई डाउट है तो पूछो। मुझे तो ऐसे दिख नहीं रहा कि सब करेंगे। अभी भी बीच में है, कंफ्यूज है।
Prabhuji,
हाँ बोलिए।
they also means I read and heard somewhere that if we have water content, high water content in our body, we can attain higher spiritual that content. And
From,
what will happen if we have Nirjala?
no, from where you read? What
I
is the source?
will learn everything.
No, see, the
They say,
most authentic source of receiving spiritual knowledge is Bhagavad Gita. You show me the verse in Bhagavad Gita. When I am giving you the most bona fide and most authentic source, then why you are going to spurious sources?
No, means it will attain, but they have also said that if we don't have water at all, means like this Nirjala, then we will have even higher. But what is the behind science, behind thought or science?
Modern science has very many limitations, as you know. Modern science does not even know what is live and what is dead. It cannot, modern science have no access to anything which is spiritual. It can only analyze matter. So any spiritual practice is beyond the purview of modern science. It is not complete. It is incomplete. So we need the spiritual science. So I don't know what is your view, that if you have more water, you will be having more spiritual realization. Then the sea will be having the most spiritual realization. Huh? This kind of logic. If the water body has the highest spiritual realization, then the sea has the maximum. Then those fishes who are living in the sea they will be spiritually most advanced creatures. Don't hear. This is very, very dangerous. We should not hear from unauthorized sources. Our Acharya Srila Sanatana Goswami warns us. A Vaishnava Mukhad Girim Utam Hari Kathamritam Shravanam Neva Kartavyam Sarto Uttishta Yathapaya. That if you hear from anyone and everyone, because we do not have the right spiritual grounding as yet. So if we hear from anyone and everyone, whatever the false or the wrong concepts are there, they will enter. Like you are an agriculture student, agriculture scientist, and if the field, if you have weeds, then what is the productivity from that field? How much productivity you will have from the field where there are weeds? There will be no productivity. So we should hear from only authorized sources. And we should hear from Bhagavad Gita. Our source of knowledge is the knowledge which has remained impeccable for last 5,000 years. You show me any knowledge, any branch of knowledge in this world which has not been changed in last 50 years. Our amendment came into presence in 1950. In 75 years, Constitution has more than 75 constitutional amendment. Why amendment is required? Because it is not perfect. But Bhagavad Gita, there is no change. Prabhu class दे रहा हूँ. नहीं थोड़ा कल देखेंगे, संडे है, बीच में रखो. Yeah.
If a person is changing suddenly by any spiritual things, hearing from any god or something, started chanting, living as dirty foods or having clean foods, but their parents or family members just saying that मेरा बेटा तो बाबा हो गया. So how to deal with that?
Good question. Practical question. So the point is, the Indian culture or the Indian heritage was spiritual. But in last, say more than 1,000 years, it has been demolished. How the demolition started? By the invasion of the foreigners in the form of these Mughals and all they came. And then it was very much demolished by the Britishers. So now we have lost it. In last few hundred years, that heritage has been completely spoiled. And what is the perception? The perception is what people in the West are doing is the best. मेरा बेटा अगर विदेश चला जाए तो मेरा जीवन धन्य हो गया, सफल हो गया। वहां जाके करेगा क्या? ड्रग लेगा, इलिसिट सेक्स करेगा, वही वही है जीवन। तो अभी उनके पास वो नॉलेज नहीं है, वो विजन नहीं है। तो इसलिए अब आपकी जॉब के बारे में, आपके कोर्स के बारे में आपके माता पिता से आप सलाह लेते होगे, उनसे सलाह लोगे तो आप फर्स्ट आ जाओगे। हाँ, क्यों नहीं लेते भाई? जब सब चीज में माता पिता की सलाह लेनी चाहिए तो पढ़ने में भी ले लो। उनकी फील्ड है, उनको नॉलेज है, नहीं है। ऐसे स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ के बारे में उनको कुछ पता है? नहीं पता है। वो अभी आपको अपोज इसलिए करेंगे क्योंकि उनको इनसिक्योरिटी लगती है। क्या इनसिक्योरिटी लगती है? कि मेरा बच्चा मेरे हाथ से निकल ना जाए। हाँ, इतने साल हमने पाल पोस के बड़ा किया है कि अब इसे कमाने का समय आया, ये निकलना चाहिए। ये फैक्ट है। इसलिए कहते हैं ये सब मत करो, ये सब बेकार है। हाँ? कितने माता पिता को हमने देखा, वो हमसे बोलते हैं कि प्रभु जी आप इसको कुछ बोलिए, इसको डांटिए, क्योंकि ये हमारी बात नहीं सुनता है। और फिर जब वो हमारी बात सुनने लगता है तो वो हमारे पास से उसको ले जाते हैं। क्योंकि उनको तो हमारी बात सुनवानी नहीं है, उनको अपनी बात सुनवानी है। प्रैक्टिकली बहुत सारे देखे। एक डिवोटी एक घर में जाके प्रीच करते थे, तो नॉर्मली आजकल के बच्चे कैसे होते हैं? बहुत ओबीडियंट होते हैं? नहीं, बिल्कुल डिसोबीडियंट होते हैं। हाँ, तो उनके बच्चे बिल्कुल डिसोबीडियंट थे। तो बोलते थे कि आप ही हमारे बच्चों को समझाइए। तो मैं पहले सरिता विहार में रहता था, जे पॉकेट में। तो ए पॉकेट में एक बहुत अच्छी फैमिली है जिसमें 2 ब्रदर्स हैं। वो दोनों ब्रदर्स दीक्षित हैं और उनकी जो वाइफ है वो भी दोनों सिस्टर्स हैं। ये दोनों ब्रदर्स हैं रियल, और इनकी दोनों वाइफ भी दोनों रियल सिस्टर्स हैं, और चारों महाराज से दीक्षित थे। और उनके 2 बेटे थे, दोनों ब्रदर के एक बेटे। तो घर में जब सत्संग होता था तो मुझे बुलाते थे। मैं उस समय सरिता विहार में रहता था, मंदिर में नहीं रहता था, तो मैं आ जाता था। तो मुझे बोलते थे कि हम इन दोनों बेटों को ब्रह्मचारी बनाएंगे, हम आगे संसार में नहीं फंसेंगे। हाँ, बिल्कुल क्लियर है। और वो बच्चे थे उस समय, जाते थे बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन वगैरह भी करते थे। और अल्टीमेटली हुआ क्या, कुछ सालों के बाद मैं तो मंदिर में ब्रह्मचारी बन गया। तो फिर मैं उनको बुलाने लगा, ये आओ ज्वाइन करो। उनके मदर फादर नहीं भेजते थे। और कुछ साल के बाद शादी करा दी। चल रहे। क्यों? क्योंकि एक कंसेप्ट है, द फ्रॉग इन द वेल ओनली नोज अबाउट द डेप्थ ऑफ द वेल, है ना? It does not know about the ocean. Does it know about the ocean? तो प्रभुपाद कहते हैं डॉक्टर फ्रॉग्स फिलॉसफी। What they have done in their own life, they want their sons and daughter to also do in the same life. Repeat what they have done. But you open one purport here, because they are ignorant of the spiritual part, that does not mean that you should remain ignorant. Open 1.41. The best service that any son and daughter can do to his parent. This is page number 61. Just because they are ignorant of spiritual understanding, it does not mean that we also remain ignorant of spiritual understanding. You have opened 1.41. Just help them. There shall help them to open. खुल गया? वेरी गुड। खुल गया तो फिर बत्ती भी जल जाएगी अगर दिखेगा तो। लास्ट लाइन देखिए, लास्ट 2 लाइन ऊपर। वन हु इज एंगेज इन डिवोशनल सर्विस इन द डिवोशनल लाइफ इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड टू परफॉर्म सच एक्शंस। ये किसके बारे में बता रहे हैं? श्राद्ध के बारे में बता रहे हैं। श्राद्ध सेरेमनी करते हैं ना, श्राद्ध सेरेमनी होती है ना, अपने पितरों को तर्पण करते हैं. The one who is engaged in devotional life is not required to perform such actions. Simply by performing devotional service, one can deliver hundreds and thousands of forefathers from all kinds of miseries. It is stated in the Bhagavatam. कौन सा बेटा है जो अपने माँ बाप को नर्क जाने से बचा सकता है कमा के? है किसी के पास कैपेसिटी? खुद तो नर्क जाएगा ही, क्योंकि किस मीन से कमा रहा है? धर्म से कमा रहा है, अधर्म करके. और वो अधर्म का खुद खाएगा और माँ बाप को खिलाएगा. जब महाप्रभु संन्यास ले रहे हैं तो उन्होंने इस बात को बहुत स्ट्रांगली एम्फसाइज किया. तो इफ यू आर परफॉर्मिंग डिवोशनल सर्विस, not only you can go back to the Godhead, but because of your devotional service, entire family of yours can go back. Although they don't deserve, उन्होंने कुछ नहीं किया. उनका गुड लक क्या है, उनके लिए बेस्ट फेवर क्या है? बिकॉज उनके फैमिली में एक ऐसा पर्सन है. इसका एग्जाम्पल मिलता है प्रहलाद महाराज के एपिसोड में. प्रहलाद महाराज जब हिरण्यकशिपु के वध के बाद मिलते हैं नरसिंहदेव को, तो बोलते हैं कि मैं चाहता हूं कि मेरे पिता को आप क्या कर दें, माफ कर दें और उनको हाईएस्ट डेस्टिनेशन दो. तो नरसिंहदेव कहते हैं तुम्हारे मांगने से पहले ही दे दिया, इट इज ऑलरेडी डन. और मैंने खुद देखा अपनी आंखों से कितने डिवोटीज के पेरेंट लास्ट मोमेंट ऑफ लाइफ में उनको कृष्णा का रिमेम्बरेंस हो गया और वो स्पिरिचुअल वर्ल्ड चलेगा. तो वो क्या लगता है, मेरे माँ बाप, मैं अपने मदर फादर का आई एम दी ओनली सन, एंड आई वाज कंट्री मैनेजर. पैसे भी खूब कमा रहा था. तो वो तो कई सालों तक, लेकिन अब दे आर हैप्पी बिकॉज नाउ दे कैन सी. द पॉइंट इज वी शुड बी सीरियस, वी शुड बिकम अ डिवोटी, not remain a show of a devotee. Then we are doing neither good to ourselves, neither to the family. In most cases, people are just making show. They are not sincere. They are not practicing the principles and the rules and regulations as they should be doing. Then there is no change. There is no change in their heart, and because there is no change in their heart, they cannot influence the heart of others. Otherwise, this is the greatest service that a son and daughter can do. He can take his parents back to Godhead. Do you have to become intelligent? Don't show in front of them that you have become Vairagi. Where is Vairag? एक दिन पानी तो छोड़ा नहीं जाता, खाना तो छोड़ा नहीं जाता, वैराग की बात करते हैं, बकवास करते हैं. ऑल शो. हमारा है क्या जो कि हम छोड़ेंगे? अज्ञान और अहंकार के अलावा कुछ है? डू वी possess anything other than ignorance? Do we have anything? So what we will renounce? It is only illusion. But to be able to see that, we need vision. And that vision will come when we are in good association by practice. So don't make us show what you are not. You understand? Because what we do, we give wrong signals to them. And always respect them. Always respect them. They are your mother and father. Don't try to give them tips that you know better. They will never accept. You first reform and transform yourself. भारत भूमि ते होइले मनुष्य जन्म जार, जन्म सार्थक करी कर परोपकार. First do justice to your own life and then think about doing justice to others. If you have not done good to yourself, what good can you do to others? When you don't have anything substantial in you, how can you liberate others? So you get my point? So you first become a good practitioner, a practitioner of a substance, not of show. In Kali Yuga, maximum the practitioners are of show. They will only show what they are not. But internally, they have no spiritual strength. And that is not very difficult to find out. In few cases, they will be exposed. अभी हो गए ना, एक और एक्सपोज हो गए, बहुत बड़े चल रहे थे, बहुत टीवी में बहुत सारे फॉलोअर्स थे, नाम नहीं लूंगा, नहीं बहुत सही, ये सब बाबा ढाबा गावा ऐसा कुछ नहीं है। बोलो उनसे, आओ करो एकादशी निर्जल, उठो रोज सुबह 3 बजे, बैठ के 2 घंटे जपा करो। हाँ, खाली दूसरों को शिक्षा देते हैं, खुद की तपस्या किधर है? खुद का ज्ञान किधर है? जो भगवान भगवत गीता में कह रहे हैं वो अपनी लाइफ में कितनी समय के लिए अप्लाई कर रहे हैं? भोग और ऐश्वर्य का जब भी मिलता है मौका तो उनका एक्सपोजर हो जाता है। विरक्ति आई कहाँ है? विरक्ति है नहीं। विरक्ति क्यों नहीं है? क्योंकि ज्ञान नहीं है, ज्ञान का अनुशीलन नहीं हुआ हृदय में। तो ऐसे ही हमारी भी वही वजह है। कुछ अभी आता जाता नहीं है, अपने को दिखाने लगे कि हम बहुत बड़े स्पिरिचुअल प्रैक्टिशनर हो गए, और कुछ नहीं है, अभी हमें कोई स्टैंडिंग नहीं है, नहीं है। तो दूसरों को दिखाओ मत, जताओ मत कि हम बहुत बड़े स्पिरिचुअल प्रैक्टिशनर हैं, हम बहुत वैरागी हो गए, कुछ नहीं वैराग है। अपनी जितना अज्ञान है, अहंकार है, इसको दूर करने के लिए प्रयास करिए। और जब आप प्योर हो जाएंगे तो अट्रैक्टिव हो जाएंगे। प्योर पर्सन इज admired and accepted by everyone. So purity is required. Impure person cannot influence anyone. बाहर से एक आध बार इन्फ्लुएंस कर देगा, जैसे ये सब बाबा ढाबा कर देते हैं। और किन लोगों को करते हैं? जो मूर्ख हैं, जिनको खुद ज्ञान नहीं है, जिनको सस्ती स्पिरिचुअलिटी चाहिए, प्रैक्टिस के बिना। क्या तुम आ जाओ, कुछ नहीं करना है, क्या है, पैसा दो, मंत्रा देंगे। Prabhupada said, the cheaters will get cheated. तो घर वालों को ये सब कुछ दिखाने की जरूरत नहीं। कुछ है क्या? सब्सटेंस है, तो फिर क्या हो रहा है? शो हो रहा है, और खाली उनको इससे आपको कोई लाभ भी नहीं होगा। तो खुद बिकम अ प्रॉपर प्रैक्टिशनर, अपनी लाइफ को रेगुलेट करिए, डिसिप्लिन करिए, और जिस पर्पज के लिए यहाँ कॉलेज में आए हैं तो पढ़िए। जो आपके कॉम्पिटिटिव एग्जाम है उसको क्वालिफाई करिए, कुछ करिए तो सही, कुछ बनिए तो सही, तब तो आप क्लेम करेंगे कि आप कुछ है। कुछ है ही नहीं, बेस ही नहीं है, तो बेसलेस क्लेम में क्या है? किसको बुद्धू बना रहे हैं? ओनली यू आर चीटिंग योरसेल्फ, नो वन एल्स। तो कुछ ज्यादा बोलने की जरूरत नहीं है, करने की जरूरत है। हाँ, किसमें परिवर्तन, किसमें करना है? अपने में। जो मटेरियलिस्ट है वो क्या चाहता है? बाहर परिवर्तन देखना चाहता है, और जो स्पिरिचुअलिस्ट है वो कहाँ परिवर्तन देखता है? खुद में। ठीक है, आई स्टॉप, इट इज 9:15, it is getting late. So Krishna is saying here in this chapter very clearly, see why bhakti yoga is so important, because anyone who is following bhakti yoga is most dear to Krishna, and Krishna takes personal care of him, whereas the others, they are dependent on their own abilities. So for them it is very risky. Hare Krishna. श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, निर्जल काशी की जय, निताई गौर प्रेमानंद। हरे कृष्णा। रविंद्र प्रभु, you will come tomorrow morning?
Yes, Prabhuji, Mangalarti.
Yes, we will have Palan together. He has already hit the century. 108 तो कर ही लिया ना आपने?
106 क्या हो तो
106 किया है, तो 128 कर लो, 64 ट्वाइस हो जाएगा, डबल हो जाएगा। हरे कृष्णा।
अरे